Welcome to the Dynasty Evaluation Show. I am John McGlynn. We have a great host today. We got to talk about some Scott Fish Bowl stuff, some Tadpole Bowl stuff, which we're all excited about. And then we're going to go over to the AFC North and talk about some teams that JT has a lot of interest in. That's some of his favorite teams in this league. So let's get ready for a show today.
McGlynn is in. I repeat, McGlynn is in. Let the fun begin. This is the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with your host, John McGlynn.
Is that Herms?
He got them guests on the Rolodex, stopping by to talk about some Dynasty Superflex. Everybody, yo, Commish is in. It's time to sit down to listen to John McGlynn. Yo, who we trading, who we fading, who we getting off the squad. Knowledge never overrated, playing for number one. Hey, yo, McGlynn is in. It's time to let the fun begin. It's the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with John McGlynn.
Big day today. I got a big guest today. He likes to tease me a lot. I like to tease him sometimes. Send him some videos of me and Nick's script sometimes, give him business, but that's it's all good fun. Kevin Coleman, welcome to the show. So I'm John McGlynn. You can find me on X, John McGlynn 75. We're going to talk about all the Fish Bowl stuff, all the everything. I just finished my Scott Fish Bowl 15 draft this morning. I met up in Madison. It was pretty cool. Met a whole bunch of new people. I'm trying to do new destinations every year. So this is Wisconsin was cool. I paired the Fish Bowl up with some Morgan Wallen tickets for my wife as her birthday present. So we got to go to the concert for her birthday, and then she got to sit in the car and, come in the bar once in a while. I drank about 30 beers and drafted in Madison. So it worked out for both of us, and then she got to drive home on Sunday. So it worked out great for both of us, 100%. JT, how did your Fish Bowl experience turn out?
I was good. We did. I helped the guys on Going for Two. Cincy live draft a couple weeks ago. Had a bunch of guests on there. We were one of the first ones to get going live. So it was awesome. My strategy completely went out the window right away. So I ended up drafting no one I thought I was going to draft. I still kind of like my team, though, but we'll see how it ends up working out. We just finished 3 or 4 days ago. So we're completely drafted, all good.
My son got a job yesterday. He was out of work for a little bit. He's been intermittent between a couple places, but he got a job. So we went out, kind of looked at this Sunday. I have 4 individual home league fantasy football drafting the same time at the same bar. So I had to go to the restaurant, make sure everything was all set up yesterday. My buddy's got a drone. He's going to be flying there, recording most of the stuff for content for his promotion for his stuff, plus my draft stuff, which I thought was awesome. But we went out for a couple beers to celebrate my son's new job and ended up staying out late. I was hoping to get my Fish Bowl draft done last night, and it was 4 picks left, and then the timer set up. So I had to wait till this morning to finish it off. But it is what it is. A lot of tough stuff. Well, I check my emails all the time, and I knew I got a Scott Fish Bowl invite. I'm on Kevin. Speaking of that, have you checked your emails? Do you know if you got into Scott Fish Bowl? Did you draft yet? You go?
Well, I'm in now. Yeah. No, I was telling the guys before the show that I didn't realize I got invited in April, so I missed all the lives. I usually do. I try to get a live. I went to Vegas one year, and I did the San Francisco one year. But I didn't get the live this year. But I'm in the San Francisco Giants in there. We had a slow start yesterday. We didn't get started till 5 because someone just didn't show up for the draft, so we had to wait. And then we're already through 5 rounds, so we're actually cooking. This is the fastest I've ever gone. I've had some very poor experiences with time and weights in these drafts, and I try not to be that asshole that complains. But when you're sitting on the clock for the full time, in the Scott Fish Bowl, it's come on, bro. Just pick here. But yeah, I'm through 4 rounds. I'm about to pick my 5th pick here. But like JT said, it's so funny because I don't do mocks because they're so stupid to do in South Fish Bowl because everybody just goes off the rails with picks and this stuff. And I think I have a team right now that I didn't draft one of these guys. I didn't have an idea that I was going to draft any of these guys as the startup went. So it's been a lot of fun. I love the Scott Fish Bowl. I'm hoping to get into the finals one year. I got the semifinals twice, so I'm hoping to sneak myself into the finals.
I made the 3rd round twice. It didn't make the playoffs 3 times. I've been in there this is my 8th year, I think. So it's been fun. I'm making the playoffs is nice. Getting in and then just getting smoked round 1 is kind of the norm, I guess, most of the time. So it's all good time. It's, for a good cause. So, You try to get
John,
in there,
I talked about it, I think, last time, but it's like I missed the playoffs by 1.5. I made the playoffs, but I missed going to the next round by 1.5 points. I just missed the cutoff. And then, of course, my team blew up, and I would have absolutely made at least the semis if I would have just made that 1.5 points past the first round. And like Kevin said, I don't usually look at it a ton, figure out what I was doing. I had a ton of guys that first round that were all on bye, and I didn't even think about it when I was drafting it. I even looked at all those guys were on bye, and I missed that cutoff by 1.5 points with like all my best players on bye week. So I was so pissed. I was like, I looked back at it later. I was like, oh my God, I could have made at least the semis and maybe the finals if I would have just won in the first round. And of course, I didn't look at bye weeks again at all as I went and did the draft again this year. So it probably happened to me again.
I think people underestimate how important bye weeks are. I that was one of my main concerns because last year I got screwed by it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm really going to pay attention to the bye weeks. And then you start drinking beers and talking to people like, all right, this guy, all the people that I had in my queue are off the board now. I just shoot from the hip. I'm like, all right, oh great. Now I got 7 people with a week 8 bye. That's a loss, but sometimes it's better to have all those guys in a bye week at the same time. That's almost a better, situation. But
as long as early, the bye week early is fine. The problem is when all the guys on the bye weeks when the playoffs have already started for Scott Fishbowl. Like last year I think it was week 12 was the playoffs started, and then at every on bye week 12. But when you're doing the draft, you just don't have time to look at that and like really appreciate it when you're doing the live. You're drinking, you're talking to people. I was doing the podcast at the same time. I was just trying to make sure I was getting my picks in, but yeah, the live is awesome. Suggest anybody do it if you get a chance to do a live. My very first Scott Fishbowl was Scott Fishbowl 9. I won my way in on an eliminator, and it was the worst experience drafting. I think we ended up setting the record for the longest draft ever. It was like we almost took like a full 2 months to draft. We were like starting to get nervous that we weren't going to get done by the time the season started. We had one guy that was on the end pick, and he was like, said he was working on a movie or something and couldn't get on his phone. He would have the end picked and it would be like 8 hours and then another 8 hours. And this is back before he would kick people out. And so like this guy he would just like take, it was just like we were sitting on there just taking like full days just waiting on one guy and then get back to him again. It was brutal. I've had a great time ever since then. But like that first year I was like, really, I was like, man, I thought it was like a big deal to get in this thing. I was like all stoked, and then like guys just were not drafting, weren't showing up, weren't checking. It was brutal, but always loved the live drafts.
Oh yeah, buy and sell you, the boys, Dynasty Gens. Let's go. Good looking pod. Too much sex. Good thing you guys are going daytime. We try to go daytime. This is me and JT have the worst hours of any human being on the face. It must be nice to have like a 9 to 5 job and just come home and like do shit. I was up till 4 a.m. last night. Like I tried JT, same deal. I'm working midnight the next 6 nights, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Like, it's just going to be rough. And then Sunday morning, like I said, we had my draft. I got 4 drafts in a row. Last year, I walked in with pick 307. I walked out with 13 rookie picks in the draft with tons of trading going on. But 2 drafts at 11, 2 drafts at 3. All the board's going to be wild going across. JT, you're going to be a little bit late, but you'll make you'll be there for the second.
I'm going to run it there. We've got our local car show that me and my dad put on every year, and it's on Sunday, of course. Everything has to be on the same day, so I'm going to try to get sprint up there. I was actually thinking about this, John. First time I met Kevin was at our initial startup draft for Baby and Boomers. So a couple of years ago, that's the first time we actually met in person. Was at that live draft when I thought I drafted pretty well at that, and then I got screwed. You screwed me in some trades. I got rid of Trey McBride way too early. Oh, I'll never live that one down in this.
Who did you get? I got Trey McBride who in a full tight end premium. Who did you get?
Alex
JT? I
Pierce.
forgot who you got in the back.
I got Alex Pierce
right?
in a flop in a. I think we swapped second and third round picks. That one is gonna just haunt me forever in that league.
That was great. I think the other one I got Brock Bowers I traded away Deshaun Watson for the 107, which I turned into Brock Bowers in that league. So I got the Brock Bowers for Deshaun Watson pretty much essentially. So I made a couple good moves in that league. Adam Hutchinson said he's having a baby in the next week or so. So he's going to be a possible no-show for the draft. So that's not good. I like full attendance at these drafts. But All right, let's get back to Kevin here. He's on the show. He doesn't want to hear about our stuff.
Can't be having babies this time of year. What are you doing?
He's having babies this time of year. What the hell?
I think that's why you call it baby and boomers, right? I think that the first year we had that league, like everybody in the league was like wives were pregnant. It was like insanity.
Yes.
I was trying to be careful. I was like, man, I'll make sure I don't get no pregnant. I was like, that's the last thing I need right now.
It's like me, you, Pat Fitzmaurice, a bunch of guys in like their 40s, and and it's like, and then all of a sudden you got all these kids who are in their early, like mid 20s or early 30s having kids. It's like, no way, man. So babies and boomers, that was a good name for the league. So Kevin, we talked a little while, but we didn't introduce you properly. Where can everybody find you? What's going on? Tell me all the good stuff you got going on in the fantasy football universe.
Yeah, you can find us over at the Devy Royal. We have a Substack, a YouTube, kinda. We've kind of shifted away from YouTube. But you can find us over there. We went kind of solo last year around this time, actually. Well, around May. And it's been good for us. So we have a lot of fun over there. You can find us on the Patreon, where we have rankings, Dynasty, Devy, C2C, all of that stuff. You can find us in terms of like that, or the Substack. We have a bunch of articles that we've been doing and creating a bunch of guides. Christian just dropped his projection guide. We have a Devy trade calculator, Devy Dynasty trade calculator over there. If you know how to use Sheets, John doesn't know how to use Sheets, but if you do know how to use Sheets, you can find that. And then we also have a college football guide coming out in August, just kind of getting you guys ready for the college football season, and a bunch of different projects over there.
I am a subscriber to the Devy Royal, and Kevin personally sent me a sheet, which I was able to open and navigate through, and it was awesome. It's the Devy Royal, the NCAA and NFL combined ranking sheet with it, and if you don't know where college guys fit in the universe as far as like where they should go, where they're ranked at with NFL players, it's absolutely wonderful to see all these sheets go back and forth and see the college only, the freshmen, the guys coming up, all the NFL players, a combination of NFL and NCAA players. It is, I mean, if you do the C2C stuff, or if you're interested in getting in there, you have to subscribe to Devy Royal, because everything you ever wanted to know is in these sheets. I'm diving into sheets. I'm a freak in the sheets now. Well, but I'm not really. It's not as hard as I make it out to be. I am catching on to the sheet stuff, but Kevin, you guys do awesome. What is it like working with Christian and Jay Stein on there? Because that's all I see is just bam, bam, bam. You guys coming out with new content, new ideas, new stuff. I mean, you couldn't have picked two better partners to do this stuff with, right?
Yeah, no, they're great. I mean, Jay's great. Christian's all right. But Jay, he's just super smart. He's one of the best dynasty minds out there. He basically does all the behind the scenes stuff for us in terms of creating the sheets and kind of the formulas. And Christian does it too. So yeah, with him, it's just a lot of fun kind of having a partner like him. And yeah, me and Christian, we've worked together for a long time now. So the nice thing is like, we just kind of grind, come up with different ideas, projects, and just the biggest thing is we always try to say we like to be first. That's why we got the rookie guide out when we first developed that. We were one of the first ones to do that. And then we brought it over to Football Guys. And then we kind of took it ourselves back this year. And so that's been a lot of fun seeing everybody kind of do that now, because it's like, oh, cool. We kind of set a standard there. And just seeing kind of how people kind of like, oh, what are they doing over there? I get a lot of DMs like, oh, that was interesting. I wish I would have thought of that first. So that's what we and Christian try to do, is just come up with ideas that, hey, what would help you win your leagues? And like you talked about with the rankings, I was surprised that a lot of people hadn't had this before. So a lot of people have rankings individually in college. They just have quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, but not a lot of people have combined rankings with dynasty guys too. And so that's the one thing we did this summer. Like, we always had combined rankings. We've had combined Devy and dynasty. We've did that for like 3 years now. Now it's just a full blown, I just spent my entire June ranking 900 guys. So basically, if you want to know, what bullshit Troy running back, how he's valued compared to like J.K. Dobbins, it's in there. Like you can go through it. You can have a calculator. Now you can have just straight dynasty too. So that's been probably our funnest, the most fun that we've had this year is kind of coming up with like, all right, how do you value guys, and how do you value guys in dynasty, Devy, C2C? How do you do that? Because that's the hardest part. It's incredibly hard to value guys, and people are going to get that wrong forever. But we're not afraid to kind of go out on a limb and try things and be different and try to be new, right? Like, I don't need to. How many dynasty buy videos can you see, or articles? Like, it's just at a certain point, you just want to scratch your eyes out. So we're always trying to kind of adapt and be flexible in what we try to build, and just have some fun when we do it.
another thing that I like about your guys' stuff, it's not only just all driving all the way down to the bottom of the college ranks, but Christian puts out a projection sheet from every player across the board. It's a depth chart with who's going to get, the how many passes, how many receptions out of the backfield, how many targets the receiver's going to get, projections for every team, and it's been something that when we've had Christian on the show before, and it's something that he put out before, and I thought it was super interesting, and I look at it all the time now. It's something that helps me a ton. You never know what's going to help somebody when you put this stuff out. You do it for yourself, what you interest you, but I mean, Kevin, the stuff you guys put out is absolutely fantastic across the board. I mean, it's one of the best subscriptions I could think of, spending my money on for sure. Devy Royal, thank you very much for putting all that stuff out, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And again, we're always just trying to my biggest thing is like, I could give a shit what people think about me, but how do I help someone like, average Joe win their league, or, and we have a lot of degenerates, so maybe not average, but, super average Joe over here that's in C2C league. Hey, how do we value this? And we just got to try to keep to ourselves. Like, hey, if you like it, great, subscribe. If not, no hard feelings. And you can become a free subscriber on Substack. You can, and get some of our free articles too, if that helps you out too, because I know money's tight right now. So any support out there, a free sub works too. So we just appreciate if anybody checks that out.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. I'm part of both.
Yeah, I always go to Devy Royal for all my stuff. I watch your guys' shows all the time. I'm always looking at that when I'm going into leagues, getting ready to do drafts. So I love what you guys do. So if people haven't checked out, one of my favorite things is John absolutely does not like IDP. I try to get into it. He's out. But he did get into C2C, which I love. So now we get to actually talk some C2C on the show sometimes. I finally got him to get into the league and then he loved it. He's a Notre Dame guy. I know you're a Michigan guy, but I'm so pumped that he actually we did a league together first. I think it was a league we did with you originally. Lee, I think that's defunct now, but that was the original, dipping his toe into it. And so he kind of got into it. And then last year he dominated in one of our leagues. And so I think he stuck to it. So now we've got John for life in the C2C space, which I absolutely love, because then he's texting me and calling me on Saturdays, asking me about games. He's like, who would you play? Who would you do this guy? I love it, because I'm football season, man. It's just all day, every day for me with college, high school, and pros. So I love it, man. It's awesome. Anybody who doesn't play college fantasy football, you're missing out.
The overtime West Coast games at 2 a.m. on me and JT are Thursday night at drinking beers, talking to each other on StreamYard, watching these West Coast games. Absolutely wonderful, man. It's so cool to do this. And when we were younger, you'd play a game of Madden and switch over to NCAA, football. You played both video games. I think the not having a college football game in the works for a long time kind of lost the little touch of college football. I think it wasn't part of the rotation. Now that it's back, I see all these kids getting more and more into college football, and it's only got to be good for your product, Kevin. Like, these kids are interested in it, and they get into fantasy football, and then wow, I played with all these guys, Garrett Nussmeier, and so whoever else, So it's got to be great to see that the video game came back. So many more people are interested. Have you seen an uptick in recently in the subscribers or interest in the college football game recently since the game came back in?
I think a little bit. I think people talk about it, right? So they go into it. I think the hardest part about college is you have to make it accessible to everybody. So we're degenerates and we're old, and we have attention spans a little bit longer than some, but it is hard for some people to care about the G5 stuff. I actually think the expansion of college football and the leagues have hurt it a little bit, because I think that for a lot of people, they've kind of been turned off to college football is gone. But it can be hard to keep up with. There's a lot of teams, there's a lot of players in C2C. You're talking a 45-round draft startup. Some people don't have that attention span either. So I think that you try to just find, I think the thing that we try to do is hey, if you don't want to do that big C2C stuff, come do Devy. Devy's just very simple. You draft a couple college guys, and you can keep it very simple. Hey, you don't like Devy? Well, then do Dynasty only, right? So we try to be more broad that way, that we're not so niche. But there is an increased interest. I think it just comes down to, it's very hard to keep track of guys, especially with the transfer portal. The transfer portal ruins things too sometimes. We're where's this guy at now? I don't even know what I was doing the other day, but I was doing something for the sheets, and I was updating teams, and there was somebody. Oh, Harrison Bailey. You guys probably don't know who Harrison Bailey is. You might, but he was an old Tennessee 5-star kid. I loved Harrison Bailey. Then he went to UNLV, and I had no idea he's the Florida backup quarterback right now. And I'm deep in the weeds. Like, I am deep into this, and I was like, holy shit, Harrison Bailey's on Florida now. Like, that's why it can be sometimes very challenging for people because they move so much. But I have seen an uptick. I mean, it only helps as the young kids start playing a little bit. But I just redraft is king. It's always going to be king. And, they can just, draft and that's it on Sundays. And that could always be challenging, especially if you got wives. I have to pick a day. Like, I don't get both days. I have to pick what day I watch football out here in California.
It gets better when the kids get older. You get to watch both days and all the rest of them. The kids go out with their friends on even my wife watching college football with me now. We would sit in the garage, watch some games. It's kind of a trade-off when there's no football going on. I'll watch her shows, but it is pretty cool to get in all these college games when there's nothing else on.
Look at you watching Love Island. I'm so proud of you, John, out there watching with your wife.
Dude, Harrison Bailey stinks.
He does stink.
Oh, that's great. Hutch, he says, I dominate this league. First of all, we have a division draft every year where you pick whoever wins the division gets to pick their opponents, and it goes by the top division winner of the 4 divisions picks 4th. It's a snake draft kind of deal. And Hutch picked me last year, and I smoked him. Absolutely smoked. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't even know what the record was, but it was. I think I got pick 101 this year. I traded for it. I think it was Adam's pick actually. So the league is awesome. It's pretty cool. It's one of the Mighty McGlynn Dynasty home leagues. There's 8 of them going on. I can only get 4 on one day, but it's all good fun, super good fun. But let's get back to this. So, John,
we are going to talk about the Tadpole Bowl, right? The very first one. We're in the same division now. We weren't originally, but they had to shrink it a little bit, and now me and you are in the Fighting Illini division. Kevin, what division are you in for Tadpole?
I'm in the UCLA. I think I got stuck in the UCLA division. I was a little late to that too. I didn't know what that was until I think Bainbridge or someone's like, "Hey, have you entered it yet?" And I said, "Oh no, I have not." So all the good divisions were filled. I don't know who got in the Michigan divisions, you bastards, but I couldn't get in that. So I'm in the UCLA division.
How did you not be able to get in the Michigan division? That's ridiculous.
I know, it's all right. The commissioners don't like me very much, so I'm just happy to be there. Like, I'm just happy to be there.
I was trying to get in Notre Dame division, but that was for the elites. That all the rest of the other teams kind of shook down below us. So I got stuck to Fighting Illini down.
Hey, I jumped in the Fighting Illini with you, John, and I was debating whether I should get it being in Illinois, and I only live 10 minutes from the stadium. I was like, I should probably be in that, but I was like, nah, I'm going to go with my alma mater. I'm going to go with Mizzou, and then Mizzou got thrown out. Not enough people. We had 2 people in the Mizzou division, so I got tossed out of that one, and now I'm in the Fighting Illini one with you. So now we can fight it out head to head, John.
Yeah, Kevin, what does it mean to you that this Tadpole even started? Like, did you ever think that they'd ever have a college fantasy football Scott Fish Bowl league anyway?
Yeah, I figured at some point, if the right person came along, and I know it's I don't know why I cannot think of his name off the top of my head right now. Proton. Proton's the type of guy that, he's just a good guy all around. He's always been a good dude. And he doesn't care about any of the drama, any of the stuff like that. So that's the right person to run something like this because he's just an incredible human being. So yeah, it's cool to have it. And I hope I can win it this year and never have to play again. Cause I really don't like charity leagues because I struggle setting my lineups all the time. Like, I like doing the charity side. But I like best ball, like charity leagues. Those are my favorite because then I can just draft and I can give some money and do that stuff. And I saw that there's going to be open waivers in the Tadpole League, and that shit's going to be insane. So yeah. I don't know how well I'm going to be keeping up on it, but I'm hoping I just draft a really good team. I can win it, and then I can just keep that on there. And I did that with the program. So there's a league called the Program when they first started C2C a few years ago. It was a giant league. It was invitational only. Is basically you have to recruit, you actually recruit on the NCAA game. It's a whole thing. I won it the first year and then I left. So I have the national championship and I was like, all right, guys, see you later. So let's hope the Tadpole does the same thing. But it's cool. I don't really know anybody in my league, but if you're watching or listening, if you want to get a group chat together and kind of chat it out, I don't know. I don't have anybody in there that I know. So that's kind of cool too. So I can draft against some newbies, some people that maybe I've never drafted against. Because once you get in these college leagues, you draft against the same guys all the time.
Have you seen the results of the other college football drafts that have already gone in place, the live ones? Because
I haven't
I think
even looked.
these ones are only
No.
45 rounds, and I saw a couple completed drafts. Both of our leagues, I think JT are 65 rounds. You know that, and I like that better. I like the bigger drafts. 65 rounds and a 45-man NFL side for C2C is perfect for me. I absolutely love that setup, and then it bringing having all your guys transmit over to the NFL side at this year. It was like it's my favorite time of the year when you get all your rookies coming in. My quarterbacks are absolutely stacked on my team, so it's one of those things. I went to quarterbacks and tight ends first, and I really kind of expected Harold Fannin having such a good year he had last year to be drafted a little higher. But everybody, he's Isaiah Likely kind of comparison, a little bit small, doesn't really block too much. He showed a little bit of blocking in the Pro Bowl or the rookie Reese's Bowl. It's still he's going to take some time, especially behind Njoku. It's going to take some time for him to develop, but. I got a bunch of them guys, a lot of tight ends, a lot of quarterbacks. I'll figure out the rest of the guys later. But so all right. Anything else about the Tadpole Bowl? Do you guys want to, JT, Kevin, anything else that you're excited about or want to talk about?
I'm just interested to see how the draft goes, see what it's like. Yeah, like I said, I just saw that I was going to try to do the Atlanta Live, but my schedule's been insane lately, so I ended up not getting in that one. I haven't even looked to see what the draft. I'm going to have to look and see kind of who people took where, to kind of get an idea what's going on there. So I've been doing C2C drafts pretty much since the season was over. I think I'm in the number 2 league of the Devy Royal CFF draft. So I'm in that league. Got a pretty good time. It's right now with this transfer portal. That's the one thing they think they got to figure out because it is wild. It's like we went and drafted some of these early, and I've got guys that are like they're on totally different teams. I was like, I drafted guys, so I had both running backs, and then when the running backs left, I'm like, okay, so I don't have his handcuff anymore, and now he's on a team, and he's the 4th stringer on that other team. So some of these transfers, I don't know what these guys are doing. It's wild. I'm like, I can understand transferring because you're going to get more playing time, but these guys transfer to teams. I'm like, you went from like 2nd on the depth chart to like 4th. That doesn't make sense, but we won't. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole show. So we probably won't get into that.
All I know is Notre Dame is getting all these ex-NFL players, kids right now. They got to see something in the program that, the classroom part, the on the field part, the coaching, the everything about the stability of the program. Getting all these awesome Larry Fitzgerald's kid and all these other kids coming in to Notre Dame right now, super happy for me. I'm looking forward to the future of Notre Dame. So we gotta hold on 1 second. We got a little sponsor here.
Hey, what if I told you there was a Dynasty app where you could get player lifetime values, evaluate trades, including draft picks out to 2028, compare the advanced metrics of 2 players, look up the sentiment, buy, sell, hold on players. Well, there is a mobile app that has all of that and more called the Dynasty Dominator, and it's $5 in the App Store on Google Play. This is my gift to you, the most affordable Dynasty League domination app available today. And if you already have it, the 2025 class is ready to download. Let's go.
Thanks for jumping in there, Matt. So what we got to do now is talk about the AFC North, all right? We got some good teams here. This is JT's wheelhouse here because he loves the Steelers and he loves the Bengals. So we got some. We're going to start off, though, with the Ravens. All right, so what we're going to do here is talk about buys, sells, holds, kind of stuff like that. Obviously, the glaring buys on the Ravens for fantasy football is Lamar Jackson. Zay Flowers is probably the best receiver on the team. Derrick Henry, he's just signed a new 2-year contract. Hopefully, he'll play it all out. Isaiah Likely still waiting for his full-time role on the team. Mark Andrews dropped that pass last year. Everybody hates him, but he's still a good fantasy asset. Hopkins get a little bit older. Rashad Bateman is an underrated asset right now, but if you ask some people, I think he's just a guy, in my opinion, but some people think that he's going to break out this year. A lot of Justice Hills, Tez Walkers, kind of guys like that. JT, when you look at this team and you go over this depth chart for the Baltimore Ravens, when you look at who do you want to keep on this team besides Lamar Jackson? Who are you absolutely make sure he's on your roster kind of guys?
Man, this has just been a tough team. You think with how great Lamar's been and how good the offense has been lately, you'd want every one of these guys, but it's really Lamar and Derrick Henry. Other than that, Zay Flowers, I like Zay Flowers, but I'm not running out to get Rashad Bateman. I had him on 1 or 2 teams on deep leagues where I had to play him every week, and it was brutal. You're basically crushing your fingers hoping for a touchdown because that's about the only thing he gave you last year. DeAndre Hopkins, who knows? What is this? 3 teams in 3 years or something like that for him. So I'm not sure what to expect out of him at all. My favorite deep sleeper on this team, and he's probably not going to do anything just because I like him, is LeJohntay Wester, one of my favorite C2C guys from Colorado last year. So I like him in like deep leagues. Like he's a guy I'm picking up off waivers and stashing on a taxi squad at the end of my bench just in case he gets a shot. But I don't know what to do with Andrews at this point. I mean, if you got him, especially in Dynasty, you're probably not going to get much for if you're trading for him. Isaiah Likely's interesting to see how much they're going to use him. Charlie Kolar was a guy I liked a lot coming out of college originally. It's interesting. I was hoping if they did move on from Mark Andrews, that Kolar would kind of slide in there in those 2 tight end sets with Likely, but they haven't moved Andrews yet. The backup running back deal here is killing me. I really liked Rasheen Ali as we go back to talk college at Marshall. I loved him at Marshall. Was hoping he would kind of win this backup job as a rookie. And he ended up hurt all last year. And now he's looking like he's maybe 4th on the depth chart, which is killing me because I've got him all over the place. But I just can't seem to pull the trigger on Justice Hill. I mean, obviously, if Derrick Henry goes down, Hill's probably your guy. I don't know what you guys think about that, but outside of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, those are the only 2 guys I'm like racing to try to get on rosters, to be honest with you.
I have Rashid Ali on like 16 of my rosters right now, just kind of thinking that he might have they might want to pencil him or shoehorn him in there just to see what they already know what they have in Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell. But, I think Rashid Ali is going to get a chance. And, he is just the guy that I like on this team as a kind of the hold, like you had mentioned. Who'd you say before? The kid from Colorado.
LeJohntay Wester. I mean,
Yeah.
They kind of said he's a smaller guy. There's talk that they kind of really drafted him for special teams, more as a punt returner, kick returner. If he gets a shot to play in the slot, I think he would be good there for them. Will that actually happen? Like I said, he's a deep sleeper for me. He's going to have a good camp and maybe have somebody in front of him get hurt for him to probably see any playing time. But he's one of those guys that, I had a ton in C2C leagues last year. And so I would just love to see him get a shot on this team to kind of perform. But it's going to take a little bit to see him actually become fantasy relevant at the NFL level.
It's all it takes these guys to be able to contribute on special teams and be part of the roster. You never know. A couple injuries, they're solidified in the roster. They get a chance to contribute when somebody else goes down or something happens, suspensions, blah, blah, blah. So, Kevin, for Mark Andrews, where do you value this guy at? Because he's like kind of the half avoid, half buy low, half kind of stay away from. Where is he at in your rankings?
Oh, Mark's outside of the top 10 in times of Dynasty for me. I think that I think people are going to talk about him being values, and I see that a lot. Fantasy pros talk about him all the time. So if Fantasy pros talking about him, that means everybody's going to kind of piggyback on that because that's kind of the leading stuff how it goes. The problem with the Ravens when you look at their offense is that they ran the ball like 53% of their snaps last year, and they're the 2nd highest behind the Eagles. And the problem is when you have Lamar and Derrick Henry, it's just hard to see where those targets come from. That's the biggest problem with all the receivers on that team. I like Zay Flowers, but if Zay's not getting targeted, he's inconsistent because of the way they run the ball. And I think the other thing too is their defense is so damn good, and it's going to be better this year. That just hurts from a fantasy perspective because they don't play from behind a lot. They run the football, they control it. So that hurts all their pass catchers. When you're looking at Andrews, I think one thing that you go back to is after week 9, he did look really good. He almost had a 20% target share. You love that about him. But really, I think from a fantasy perspective, I'm not buying the dip on him. If I can move off of Andrews, I will. I have no Andrews. I have no Mark Andrews. But at the same point, I have no Isaiah Likely either. I don't think Isaiah Likely is as good as some out there think he is too in terms of fantasy and upside from that position, because I don't think this offense predicates itself on being very consistent from a fantasy base with Lamar and what he tries to do from a rushing standpoint. You want Henry and Lamar, and if you can get those guys, great. And I don't mind taking a shot on Zay if he's at wide receiver 3 prices, because I do think from just the screen base and targets and all that kind of stuff. Like he will maybe get some this year. But they like Bateman, and you'll see, like, I guarantee you guys, like, I like Wester too. He's probably a special teams guy, but some freaking game, Wester's going to have like 7 targets for like 100 yards and a touchdown out of nowhere, because that's what Baltimore does. So if you can move off of Andrews for something, you can. He's probably a hold, because I don't know what you're going to get for a 29-year-old tight end in a bad offense for him. Maybe if he gets some red zone touches, that's fine. But everybody has that drop in the playoffs. That's the last thing they remember about Mark Andrews. And to me, it's just a value drop. So if you could hold him, great. If you can get rid of him, I would do that. If you could pivot somewhere in terms of if someone still values him as a top 10 tight end, if you can go down a little bit lower and get someone like, Njoku's out there. If you can go out there and get maybe Ferguson, Otten plus something, right? Get something added. I don't mind pivoting down and tearing down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any of these low ball guys that you're stiffing on your roster anywhere, like JT had mentioned before?
I mean, the guy Ali is probably the guy that you like, because I liked Ali. Obviously, the injuries were banged up a little bit last year. You want to kind of hit on the guy that's behind Derek, just in case Derek suddenly isn't superhuman anymore and he gets a little bit banged up. But like you said, I have a hard time with Mitchell and Justice Hill, like banging on them. So like I'll take Rasheen Ali, and like I'll stash him still. But even then, what's the upside? I don't know, because Lamar's just going to run the hell out of the ball too. And then it's going to be basically just short screens, and that's going to be their passing game, what the Chiefs did last year when they didn't have a running back. So it'll be just short screens. That'll be their short running game anyway. So like Ali is great. This offense is a mess for fantasy, because it's just basically Lamar and Henry. And then after that, it's just inconsistent. You can't have any confidence putting any of these guys into your lineup on a week in, week out basis, besides those two guys.
Yeah, and Ali's 20 pounds heavier than Mitchell and Justice Hill too, so he'll a little more inside work if something was to go down with Henry. So I like that. I like that a lot. So, all right, let's move to the Bengals, because this is, I mean, they're going to have to score 800 million thousand points every week because of the fact they have no defense. I mean, they drafted some players this year, but rookie defenders aren't really it's not the championship concoction to make things work, but. I mean, you got Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, and then it kind of, after that, it kind of falls. You got Gesicki, who everybody kind of crossed their fingers that he's going to have some kind of bounce-back season. And then Andre Yosefas is a local kid from around here that, had shown some promise earlier. Jermaine Burton was somebody everybody drafted last year as kind of like, okay, he might, if these guys leave, he might get a chance, but he's kind of been a knucklehead the whole time he's been here. And then, there's some other – Eric All is someone that I have on my he was on my IR actually right now, but there's just Zach Moss, Samaje Perine, guys at the bottom of this roster. It's like this is a super top heavy roster. I mean, when you look at this roster, either you had these guys on the top or you don't have anybody, kind of thing. After Chase Brown, is there anybody? We'll start with you, Kevin. Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. After that, is there anybody even in this team that you're even looking at or interested in?
Not really.
No.
When you go through it, like not someone that's going to be like a game changer in terms of fantasy, right? Like someone that's really going to do that. Andre Iosovis is like the guy that, like, if they have to throw the ball a ton, and if you're thinking of like, and you made me laugh because they drafted some guys in the draft, but they're still not there because the contract, they can't figure the contract out. So defensively, they're still without their I think the first 2-round picks there. And like Iosovis can be that. I think Andre, showed some flashes last year a little bit, but he's severely capped just because Higgins and just because Chase are being there. But I do think maybe he could get some touchdowns there. I mean, we did see him at 479 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. I know that came with a lot with Higgins, but I will say this. As much as I love T. Higgins, he gets injured a lot. And there is a lot of time where he's not on that field for whatever reason, an injury pops up. So Andre could be that guy that you just fill in. I've always liked Andre, even when he came out of Princeton. He was one of those deeper stashes there. And we did see the targets improve last year. I mean, really consistently, he averaged about 4 or 5 targets the last 7 weeks of last year. So if that's the case, if Higgins goes down, Andre could be that guy. And you'd be excited about maybe plugging him in on deeper benches if you start 10. But outside of that, there's really no one on this roster that really like moves the needle for me as a deeper guy. I like Taj Brooks because college, I mean, he looked okay, but his draft capital was really bad. So like if you're looking for a running back stash, I think Taj could surprise some people because I think he's better than Perine. I think he's better than Moss.
I agree with that. That's a good take. JT, in a tight end premium league, are you going after a guy like Mike Gesicki, or are you going to try and get somebody else like Yosevas?
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a big Gesicki guy, and I've got him in a ton of leagues just because I've had him forever, and it's like you never can get enough to trade him. So I know you always offered, a 5th round pick to me for him, but I don't mind him in the higher premium leagues, and obviously if you're in like a start 2 tight end, I think he's worth it. He's a little tough to start if he's your only tight end and you're like counting on him week in, week out. I think is real rough. But I do like him, if you got him as your second or third guy, if and we saw like Kevin just said, when T Higgins was hurt last year, they went to him a lot more. But when Higgins was on the field, he didn't see the target share. So it's just I like Gesicki. He's just a tough guy to count on left and right. I think Zach Moss is done. I really wish we just kind of knew what was going on with him to figure out if he's even worth like holding on to, because I got him in a couple of leagues and I'm just like, I really want to cut him, but I'm like, I can't cut him just yet until like I know that he's not going to play and like Brooks is going to be the guy I'm like, I still have my eye on, and I know this is probably a complete waste, but Jermaine Burton, is he going to somehow pull it together this year and mature and give us something? I don't know. He just seems like that guy after everybody kind of trashed him. And he fell in the draft because people were just like, I don't know about this guy's maturity. Then he went and did everything that everybody said he was going to do last year as a rookie. So it's like, I did pick him up. Somebody dropped him in one of my leagues, a deeper league, and I did pick him up. I'm like, you know what? I'll pick him up and stash him off of waivers. But I just don't know if I've got very turn it around, or if he's a guy that would turn around in another year or two and he's pulling a Chase Claypool and he's out of the league.
After our rookie draft started, he was drafted somewhere in the middle of the 3rd round, kind of, and I traded away like a late second in 2025 for Burton as soon as I drafted him. Alabama fans, I think that he's going to be something because he went to Alabama and he did okay. But when there's smoke, there's fire with a lot of these guys that have a lot of problems in college, and when you're in a problem like that, when you're in a situation like Alabama and you still create problems, even though you have 1,000 coaches watching over you all the time, there's something to be said about that. So I'm staying away from him. Eric All is kind of my hold here as far as that goes. I just kind of I like Iowa tight ends, even though he may not be the most flashiest of players. I have no problem keeping him on my my taxi squad or my IR for a year or so and see how he develops. But I don't know. He's a little bit more of a blocker maybe than a receiver, but at the same time, I'll take that chance. So, that's the Eagles. The Bengals, like we said, are real top heavy here. So it's kind of hard. It's a lot of avoids on this team altogether. Then we get to the Browns, the shining star of this whole division here. Quinshon Judkins, probably the best player in this team by far. And then you got Njoku, Jerry Jeudy, Nick Scripps' favorite guy, Jerry Jeudy. He absolutely loves him. Harold Fannin, who I mentioned before, probably single-handedly won me a C2C championship. I won the NFL and the NCAA side. I won both sides of my C2C team last year. So Harold Fannin pretty much helped me single-handedly do that on the college side. Cedric Tillman, everybody's up and coming, kind of favorite guy. Didn't really pan out, didn't really show last year, but I got a lot of enthusiasm for him coming in this year. Dylan Sampson, JT, one of your guys, and then of course Shedeur Sanders. JT was pounding the drum for Shedeur coming out of the draft this year. So
I know. I want to hear. I didn't hear a lot of takes from Kevin on Shedeur. What were your thoughts coming into the draft? I ate it because Shedeur was my QB1. I had him ranked there for a couple seasons actually, and then obviously everybody in the NFL hates him, and he falls all the way. And the one team I didn't want him to go to was the Browns because I was like, oh, he'll be a disaster in Cleveland because that's Cleveland with QBs, and of course that's exactly where he goes. And so now I've lost all hope that this is going to work out eventually with all my teams. I had him on C2C teams and Devy leagues everywhere last year, counting on him being a first round pick. And now I'm like heading back and going like, where can I make trades and get a guy? Where were you on like Sanders coming in, and kind of what's your thoughts with this just absolute disaster of a quarterback room right now for the Browns?
So with Sanders, going into it, I thought that he was much better than 5th round draft capital, right? Like I think that he is better than that. I think I underestimated the off the field stuff and how much that was going to translate to maybe the NFL stuff. Maybe that's my fault. I think from a quarterback though, he can be pretty good. Like at Colorado, when you watched him play, it's hard because if for those who don't watch college football, Colorado's offensive line for 2 seasons was probably the worst offensive line in the Big 12, especially, but also probably, back end of all of college football teams. Like it was really bad. So when you watched him play, he had to do a lot of YOLO ball. He probably picked up a lot of bad habits, and we saw that out there. But I do think that there is a scenario where you're watching him and you can say like he could be a plug-in guy and be a very adequate quarterback. It's just like you said, he went to the one spot that I'm like, I don't know if they're going to be able to develop a quarterback like him because they don't seem to have a plan for these quarterbacks. And when you look at the roster there, but I will stand by the fact that he's better than Dylan Gabriel, who went in the 3rd. Like he is better quarterback than Dylan Gabriel from an NFL projection. Maybe not college, but from an NFL projection, I would say that. I think that, I get asked this question all the time from people about where do I draft Sanders or do you have Sanders or whatever? Yeah, you stash Sanders because I do think he could start this year. And really that's all you need from him is if he starts, he's going to accumulate value. And if he looks okay, I think he can. This offense, though, outside of Judy, and I know some people like Judy, where is the separation going to come from? I think what Sanders did well as he had Hunter, Wester, he had all those guys out there, Horn, all those guys that can create separation for him. And he just led them because he doesn't have a strong arm. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but I do think he's very good at anticipation routes. He leads guys really well. Like, how does that offense fit in this? And I think that's the big question with Sanders, if he can get the start. But again, he's still doing dumb shit off the field, like the ticket. And then like he's doing all this stuff where it's like you were just a 5th round pick. What you should be doing is not having any negative publicity. Just get your ass in the playbook and just like go out there and compete. So like that's my biggest concern with him is the off-field stuff. I think on the field, he's a very serviceable quarterback. Now, will he be a star? I don't think so, but I think he can be a plug-in guy. Look how many we just watched Tommy DeVito a couple years ago, right? Like we watched some bad quarterbacks play in the NFL. Like Shedeur is better than those guys. It's just, will that off the field stuff screw him? That's like the biggest thing here. But I do think Judkins is going to have a huge year. He's going to have one. I mean, Judkins could be the running back 1 of this class outside of Genty, but maybe production wise, he'll compete with Genty this year. I think that's on the table for Judkins.
Judkins walks into a Nick Chubb role pretty much. He's going to get 1,000 carries. My guy's Jerome Ford, man. I've always loved Jerome Ford. Coming out of Cincinnati, I just love the way he played. And now all of a sudden they stuff Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson on his team. JT, what does that do for all my Jerome Ford shares?
I think Ford's in trouble. I like Sampson a lot. He was one of my higher rated guys coming into this. So I like anywhere I got Judkins, I try to get Sampson as well. Like in rookie drafts, if I got Judkins in the middle of the 1st round, I was coming back and trying to get Sampson. In a lot of times I was getting him in the 3rd, which was fantastic because he was going a lot higher than that pre-draft. And obviously he's dropping a little bit in rookie drafts because of the fact that he ended up behind Judkins on the same team. But I like him. If anything happens to Judkins, I think he can come in and play. I think there's a good chance both those guys see a good amount of time. So Sampson's one of my favorite values right now in rookie drafts. But this team, I'm glad to see Kevin say that because I think Shedeur's way better than a lot of these guys. I highly underestimated the NFL just being pissed at him and Dion and like just letting him drop all the way to the 5th. That blew my mind, especially the Dylan Gabriel. He's going to go down really good college quarterback, man. Guy put up great stats, started 1 million games in the 6 or 7 seasons he played in college, but I couldn't believe he went in the 3rd. That just blew me away. I can't even believe this team is considering starting Joe Flacco. Like, what are they doing? And Deontay Johnson, I talk about another guy that just went to the worst possible team. Is like, if you had any hope left, like just a tad hope left for Deontay Johnson to pull together, the second he signed with the Browns, I was like, oh, he's done. There's no way. He's going to be pissed in about 0.2 seconds on this team, and it's just going to go down in flames. So I'm out on Deontay Johnson. I'm trying to get anything I can in a trade. If somebody will give me any kind of pick for him, I'm trading him because I just think this is a setup for this to just be an even bigger disaster than the last 3 teams he was on.
You don't think if Flacco starts, he's going to throw 45, 55 passes a game and just light this team on fire like he does everywhere he goes.
He looked pretty bad last year. Like
Dude,
it was not the
yeah.
Flacco from 2 years ago. He was bad last year.
Yeah. I saw him in Colts game. It was not good, dude. I mean, there was games.
Perfect.
It was brutal. I got front row tickets to see him last year. It was brutal. I'm like at games going like, are we a serious? Is this even a serious franchise? We're playing Flacco over Anthony Richardson. Like what are we doing? Like, what are we absolutely doing? Yeah, I think people that are like having in their mind that they're going to get the Flacco that had that like unbelievable 4 or 5 game stretch 2 years ago, and they think they're going to get that across the whole season. I think you're kidding yourself. So if you have somebody in your league that thinks that's going to happen, like trade them Joe Flacco if you still have any of him on your rosters. But I don't see that at all. I've already been through the hell that is Kenny Pickett. So I just don't understand how Sanders doesn't get this job. I know it's a mess right now, but if you're the Browns, like, what are you even messing with? Like, give the guy a shot and see if you even have anything in him or not. I don't know what they're doing. This team feels completely lost to me.
You're worried about Joe Flacco. What are you going to do when Daniel Jones or maybe Riley Leonard take over the job in Indianapolis this year? That's going to be absolutely wonderful.
I've been trying not to think about it, John. I'm going to have enough problems when the season starts, but I've been trying not to think about the offseason.
Yeah, no. The only thing I like about Shedeur Sanders is that he can just, whatever happens on the field, gone. Like, he doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit about the mistakes. He doesn't give a shit about it. He doesn't give a shit about anything, to be honest with you. I think that says a lot for somebody to, they don't beat themselves up on the sidelines. He needs to mature a little bit, sure, but I think that having that ability to not care about, okay, I made a mistake, and learn from it is something that I admire with some of these guys. That, you can see Jameis Winston beating himself up when he throws picks, or some of these other guys that go nuts to get themselves down, keep making mistakes. He doesn't really have that in him where he really gives a shit about what happens. So I'm a little jealous. I might not say jealous, but I really like that. I admire that about him, that he has a short memory with those kind of things. So, JT, let's go to your guys here. Silver and black, Steelers. I am not a Caleb Johnson fan, but I know he's going to get about 300 carries this year because that's what they do. But like I said, we talked about this 100 million times. This guy's big, he's fast, and he breaks a lot of hands on your hip pad tackles and grabbing them by the shoulder tackles. But if you watch it, every film, all the tape on Caleb Johnson, every straight hit that guy takes, he goes down. He cannot break tackles when it's a real tackle. He breaks a lot of arm tackles, and that's all he does, and everybody loves it for him. But he's going to get the opportunity. When you have 250 carries a year, you're going to get fantasy points. So, I mean, hopefully he can figure this out. And it's the same system, the same zone system he ran in college. But it's different. It's the NFL. It's not, things aren't going to be – he's not going to have holes like I had at Iowa you can drive a Mack truck through anymore either. It's going to be a little different scenario. And I hope Caleb Johnson does well, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing that he's going to come in and just dominate the NFL like people are thinking. DK Metcalf, I'm kind of concerned with on this team. So that's something that's – I don't think he's the type of receiver that's going to translate very well with Aaron Rodgers. So I don't – besides that, I mean, Moose just pretty much – I'm not going to say he got replaced, but he's got a lot of competition at tight end right now. I mean, I'm going to let you go first on this one, Kevin. When you think of the Steelers, is it just a hot mess all around, or where is this team headed in 2025, 2026?
I mean, they're a mess, but I do think that there's like some sneaky fantasy plays here. I think that they're going to have to score points. I don't trust the running back situation as much, just because I think that's just going to be too much of a timeshare. I think Warren and, when you're thinking of Warren and Johnson, and I go back and forth with Caleb Johnson. I was not a huge Caleb Johnson guy coming out, but then I don't mind a spot once Warren's gone. Once Warren's gone, then I'll feel back there. I do kind of have a soft place in my heart for DK though. I think DK could be an interesting, it's going to be super inefficient and it's going to be gross, but he's the wide receiver one. I love when you look at him, I think he can have more touchdowns this year than he's ever had. I think that's one thing Aaron Rodgers could do. And I know that in Arthur Smith's offense, it's run heavy, and I get it, but I do think that his target share is not going to be that big of an issue there. And I do think that Aaron Rodgers can get it to him, especially in the red zone. I think that's really where you're going to see that usage and the big play come from with Metcalf. And he's super cheap right now. I mean, I think he's getting valued as a wide receiver 3 in fantasy and in Dynasty. Like, that's not a bad price for a wide receiver 1. And I know it's not a good offense. I know this got Jonnu, and I know all that stuff. But DK is the one guy that I don't mind buying a little low on. He's still talented. And I still think, and I don't think, I mean, JT might, if he's a Steelers guy, I know a lot of people are thinking like, oh, they're just going to go Aaron Rodgers this year, and then they're going to go try to get a quarterback in the draft next year. There's still huge question marks at that. And they probably going to be just good enough to be on the outside of those quarterbacks anyway, of the top 10, looking in to where they're not going to get those guys. I could see them just doubling down and going and get Kirk Cousins again next year and saying, hey, we're going to go get Kirk Cousins this year and go do it. So if that's the case, like I'm less worried about DK next year too. And I think he's a value. And I think that he is one of the cheaper wide receiver ones that you can get out there. And you just bet on talent. Like, and you should know it's going to be inefficient. There's going to be some bad weeks. But if he can regress positively and get some touchdowns in that, I'm all on board on the DK Metcalf train. I think that he's the guy that I wouldn't mind taking a shot on in this offense.
JT, first of all, give me your whole breakdown of the Steelers teams. I know you're a massive Steelers fan, but tell me on top of that, why is Roman Wilson going to be the wide receiver 1 in this team?
He's not.
I don't think Roman Wilson's going to be the wide receiver 1, though. I do think he's sneaky. I think he's sneaky. I agree with Kevin. I think DK is a buy right now just because I think people are out on the Steelers. They're out on him. I think he is going to put up stats on this team. It's going to be rough. But the Roman Wilson is going to be the real interesting because somebody else on this team has to catch passes. So are they actually going to get Muth like in position to make? I love Muth. I think he extremely underutilized on this team. It would be great if they figured out how to run any kind of crossing routes with him, but that's, I guess, not in the playbook. They don't ever run any crossing routes. It drives me insane. But somebody else has got to step up and get some passes. Is that Calvin Austin? Is it Roman Wilson? Who's it going to be? I'm hoping it's Roman Wilson. I think he's got some skill. I know, Kevin is a Michigan guy. I liked him coming out. I liked the draft pick. Obviously, he missed all last year. We'll see if he can stay healthy and what's going on. But to me, he's a really nice buy low right now. So many people are out on him. You can get him extremely cheap. I usually am probably too positive about the Steelers most off seasons. I always think everybody's going to be better than they are. This is one of the few years I'm like, I really am finding myself not wanting to take Steelers players. I don't love Caleb Johnson. I know a lot of people who do. And so I've tried to have people kind of talk me into him. I was probably a bigger Najee guy than anybody. I thought he got screwed because I thought he was a lot better. I thought he played really well with how bad their offense has been the last couple of years, especially the O-line, which has been just terrible. I hope it's improved this year, but we'll see. I'm worried about Caleb Johnson if this offensive line isn't a lot better. That he looked good at Iowa, but they had a dominant offensive line, and I'm just not sure you're going to get that. I probably am buying Jaylen Warren out of anyone if I'm going to, because I think he's going to be cheaper. I think he's going to see a lot of touches. I think people forget, he was banged up last year, and he never was like completely fully healthy. I think he's going to see a lot more touches this year. He's the guy. If I had to get anybody in this team, DK and Warren are probably the two guys I would want. And I agree with Kevin, actually. The Steelers are probably going to be just good enough to not get one of the top quarterbacks again. So now are they going to be in the perpetual cycle, which I've seen for the Colts for years, is do they just keep, now are they getting the cycle where they'll just keep going and getting the old quarterback? Whoever everybody else has done, do they keep doing that year after year, chasing that playoffs and trying to stay in it as opposed to going a full rebuild? I'm nervous. I would love to see him get a guy like Garrett Nussmeier. I love Nuss from LSU. I just don't think they're ever going to get high enough to be able to get one of those guys. And then who on their team do they have that's enough draft capital to actually trade and move up to get one of those guys? That is an issue for me. I don't know. Even if they could make something happen, will they be able to pull it off? I don't know. So I feel like this Steelers team is stuck in neutral. I really do. I'm usually a little more excited about the season. I always put a bet on for them to finish over 500 every year because it's a guarantee. And this is the one year I'm like very nervous. I'm very nervous about what this team's going to end up being. The defense was great last year to start off the year. But man, if you look at the numbers at the second half of the season, they plummeted when they started playing all the North teams. When they started playing the Ravens, they started playing the Bengals. They started giving up points all over the place. And this team has got to win a lot of low scoring games, because I know they need to put up points, but I just don't see it happening with this group. So I think I got a lot of 14, 13, 17, 13 games in my future this season. So I better just be prepared to be taking a lot of unders in these Steelers games, which I hate doing. I hate doing it, but I think that's what I'm going to end up doing a lot of the season, is betting the unders on the Steelers. It's man, they definitely feel like they're neutral to me. I don't see where the end of the road is for them, where they're like, where the vision is at this point.
Relax, JT. They got Kenny Gainwell on the team this year, okay? Everything's going to be all right. Kenny G, my guy, my boy. So, all right. Well, this is kind of anything else with the Steelers that you guys can think about? Because this is, I think it's a hot mess. I think this is Tomlin's first actual losing season, and he might lose a couple. There'll be a couple games under 500 in my honest opinion. This is, and I don't know what happens after that. They're not going to just cut him after one losing season, but man, this does not look good for the Steelers, especially because you got some decent teams in the division, and the AFC as a whole is just a better situation. So, I mean, there's not much to say about the Steelers, so I'll just leave it at that, I guess. But we've been about an hour now. Kevin, thanks for spending your time with us this afternoon. Me and JT kind of had these messed up schedules where these day shows kind of worked out perfect for us sometimes. And some of these guys who are off in summer, get to enjoy the whole summer life with the kids and with the dogs and with the pool and everything else. It's nice to have you guys jump on once in a while, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I love you guys. You guys are my favorite people. You guys know that. So anytime I can hop in, it's good. I got to hide from the kids for about an hour so I can, enjoy some sanity as I get back to dad life. But no, I'm excited for the season. And I'm excited to see kind of how it goes in the Scott Fish Bowl and then the Tadpole. We'll see how that goes. Now, I kind of wish I would have hopped into your guys' league so I could have drafted against you. JT's a challenge. I would have had an easy win against John, so that would have been fun. But then I could have at least had some challenges out there.
I am going to get steamrolled by these guys 100%. But, it's a good thing that I have all the Devy Royal rankings on here to go by, so I get to steal all your
Oh, yeah, shit. Now I can't say that. Now, no, he's going to win. He's got our rankings.
He's got your list now. He knows what he's doing.
Right. I'm going to call my team Kevin.
Don't do that. You'll get kicked out of the league. Don't put my name on anything. Be careful out there in these streets.
All right, Kevin, what is coming up in the Devy Royal that we can all look forward to this upcoming season?
Yeah, one thing we're doing this year is we're dropping a bunch of different projects throughout the year. So if you sign up for our Patreon or Substack, you get access to 8 big projects that we're going to do throughout the season, including weekly articles. So we actually just sat down and we're going to actually have weekly content, redraft content as well this year. So for the Substack, we're going to get out 6 articles a week. Don't know where I'm going to fit that in my schedule, but we're figuring it out as we go. Plus, we're going to have a bunch of different guides. And basically, the big thing, like you mentioned, is Christian just dropped his projection guide about a week ago. And then for every team in there, what I did was when he gave his projections, and I either disagree with him or agreed with him from a dynasty perspective. And I talked about if this happened, this is where that dynasty value could be. So it's kind of a unique perspective on projections. It wasn't just like, hey, here's numbers. Go. It was more like, okay, if this does pan out, this is where from a dynasty standpoint. And then be on the lookout for our college football guide. It's more of a guide for, like Athlon Sports and those guys that do the Feel Still and all those guys that do like kind of a preview. We wanted to do something fun this year. We're going to drop it August 1st for all of our subscribers out there to get ready for college football and give them a little bit of a different view on kind of the top 25 teams and, bets and all that kind of stuff. We're combining it all this year. So that's kind of coming up.
Absolutely awesome. JT, how about you, man? You're a busy man. What do you got coming up? What's going on with you?
Oh, just I got a bunch of post-draft DLF articles out there coming out with a bunch of the players just kind of re-looking at their situations. We did a bunch of stuff before the draft, kind of talking about these guys, where we think they're going to go in the draft, kind of letting people know who don't cover college or don't watch college, giving an idea who these guys were. Now that they're drafted, we know what team they're on, kind of going through what's the situations like, where to take them in drafts. If you haven't done your draft yet, I did a whole breakdown of all the running backs in this class where I graded them before and after the draft. So you can go back, search that up on DLF if you're a member over there. I've got my Devy rankings on there as well. I'm going to jump on the Devy Royal, kind of see how they compare to what you guys got right now. But I got my Devy rankings over on there, and then my IDP rankings and rookie rankings for IDP as well on the site. So got all that going, getting the hockey show back up. So if you're a hockey fan, Around the Ice on Tuesday nights on Fantasy and Frames. You can find me here with John and that evaluation show, and then also Fantasy and Frames Wednesday nights, Dynasty 365 and Shoot the Gap IDP show every Wednesday night as well.
Tell them who dominated that the rookie hockey draft, JT.
You had a good draft, man. You stole a couple of my players, and our Dynasty Hockey League was not happy about it. You got my boy Bear for the
Mr.
Red
Bear.
Wings. I was pissed about it. Like right in front of me, you got him, but it should be a good season. Pumped about hockey coming up as well. So I've been trying to do all the stuff around the house because I know I got about a month, and then stuff's going to get wild. We get football going, college football, the NFL, and then hockey. And then my girlfriend wants to fight me for 4 straight months as all I'm doing is watching TV and on podcasts. And she's like, are you ever going to get off the TV? I'm like, nope. Sorry. So trying to get my time in right now. Do all my duties while I can right now before everything gets wild.
This is my busiest time of year because I run all these Mighty McGlynn Dynasty home leagues, and I'm scheduling drafts. I'm collecting money. I got people collecting money. I got financial secretaries to collect money, but I'm scheduling. I'm going to these bars and laying everything out and ordering draft boards and stickers and all the kind of stuff. Our draft order has already been in play, but trying to get these 8 Dynasty League drafts going, and then after that comes all my home redraft leagues that I'm in part of. I'm the commissioner of all these leagues that my neighborhood guys get into, and it's all good fun. These neighborhood leagues go forever, but this is my busy time right now up until redraft starts. And then all of a sudden, bam, you're setting 18, 25, in JT's case 55, or Scott Sidlow's 267 Dynasty profile whatever portfolio leagues. It's just it's amazing. I think 23 is kind of a tough to swallow, but JT, it's doing your 55 or 70 is pretty rough. Man.
I'm loving the CFF best ball drafts. These are my leagues. I was like, I could get in more CFF best balls where I don't have to set lineups. Always helps me out a lot. So I've been jumping on a ton of those drafts this summer. So I'm looking forward to it. I've upped my college leagues by about 10 more this off season from last year. I got to start cutting some Dynasty NFL leagues. That's the problem. I get more college leagues and I don't cut my NFL leagues.
Yeah. Well, this is Dynasty Evaluation Show. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, for joining in. Dynasty Evaluation YouTube channel, Player Profiler Plus YouTube channel. Thanks for Dynasty Degens for having us. All the good stuff here on X, on YouTube, across the board. We are going to be here every week throughout all Dynasty Evaluation is year round. We do in-season waivers, in-season injuries, all 32 team look-aheads. We do team evaluations. We do it all. So come here, join us. More great guests like Kevin, and we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.